Hi, we had a lot of requests for making meals in a snap, so I decided on this one dish. It's one of the very first dishes that I taught my daughter when she started cooking with Dehydrated Foods. These are things that you have in your pantry, and all the ingredients are dry, and the only thing that we're going to use out of the refrigerator is 1 pound of beef. I paid $3.43 for the beef, and I paid 79 cents for a box of this, so it's a total meal of $4.22. So this is what we're going to do to get started. First of all, I'm going to talk about collard greens because we're going to be using the collard greens in this recipe. Now, when you store your collard greens, you always want to put them inside a plastic bag like this and then inside a Mylar bag, because one of the most important things that you need to keep away from your food is light, heat, oxygen, and moisture. And a lot of times your dehydrated foods will turn color. That's perfectly okay. Once you rehydrate them, it'll turn right back into the exact same product that you started with. So this is how we're going to get started. I'm going to take our collard greens and I'm going to place them in a pan and I'm going to pour hot water on top of them. And you want to be really careful because you don't want to break these up because we're going to be rolling our beef up in these. So I'm going to pull them out very carefully. And I'm going to place them in the pan like this. Don't push them down or crunch them or anything, just leave them just like that. And then you're going to take your boiling water and you're going to dump it over the top. Okay, now after pouring all the boiling water on top of your collard greens, we're just going to let them set. And now we're going to go over to the pan and we're going to fry up the beef and the rice and put our other dehydrated ingredients inside the pan. Okay, now what I'm going to do is add a little oil to the pan, just a little bit. That's enough. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry up the hamburger that I have. This is 1 pound. And after this is done, I'm going to add my rice-a-roni, my dehydrated mushrooms, my dehydrated tomatoes, and my dehydrated onions. So we'll fry this up. Okay, now the hamburger's done cooking, so what I'm going to do is push the hamburger to the side like this. And now I'm going to open my box of rice-a-roni. And I'm going to dump my rice in the middle and brown the rice. Okay, now the rice is browned. Now what I'm going to do is, the box of rice-a-roni calls for adding 2.5 cups of water, but because I'm going to add dehydrated foods, I'm going to add 3.5 cups of water to this. So here's my 3.5 cups of water, and I'm going to pour it in over the rice and the hamburger. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding my dehydrated ingredients. Now, I'm not going to measure because this is the neat thing about having dehydrated foods and making meals in a snap. When you get these meals down, you just grab a handful of this and a handful of that and add it to the mix. So, here are my tomatoes. These are my sliced tomatoes, but you can use chopped tomatoes if you prefer. And I'm just going to take a handful, about this much. And I'm just going to add those to the mix. And next, I'm going to take dehydrated mushrooms. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add a handful. And I'm going to drop them in. Next, we're going to add dehydrated onions. Okay, next I'm going to add the package that came inside the rice-a-roni that has all the spices in it. And I'm going to stir that in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just put the lid on it, turn the heat down, and come back in about 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes and the dish is ready. Okay, here you can see the tomatoes, the dehydrated tomatoes have come back. Here are the mushrooms, and the onions are in there too. They're just a little difficult to see because they were chopped and they're small. But this is the dish, and I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. Now you can eat it just like this, it's really good. Or you can take it a step further, which we're going to do. We're going to roll it up in some collard green leaves and pour gravy over the top. It's really good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do our collard green rolls. Now, you have to make sure when you rehydrate your collard greens that you use boiling hot water and then cover it too. And they need to set about 20 minutes, but that water's got to be really good and hot. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the collard green leaves, I'm going to put it here. Okay, I have 6 cabbage rolls or collard green rolls in there. And what I'm going to do is I have a lot left over. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that around the outside like that. Okay, now I have the 6 collard green rolls in here. And I want you to know that you can use cabbage rolls. The reason why I prefer the collard green rolls is because it's a bigger leaf and it's a heartier leaf. And it makes it easier to roll. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a gravy with more mushrooms in it. I'm going to pour it over the top and then I'm going to bake it in the oven. Okay, what I did was I had taken some more dehydrated mushrooms, 3 cups of water, 3 teaspoons of bouillon cube, and some cornstarch, and I made a gravy. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dump this gravy over the top like this. And there's no fat in the gravy because we just used bouillon cubes and cornstarch and dehydrated mushrooms. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of foil, we're going to cover it, and we're going to put it in the oven at 350 and bake it for a half hour. Okay, we had the dish in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 and it's complete. And I plated it, and we did this entire dish for $4.22, and I believe there's enough here to feed about 5 people. And what we used was dehydrated tomatoes, dehydrated onions, dehydrated mushrooms, dehydrated collard greens, 1 box of rice-a-roni, and some bouillon mix, 1 pound of ground beef, which is optional. So if you choose to make this dish without the ground beef, you can do so. But there you have it. So let's taste it. Okay, then we're going to have Steve come over and take a taste.
Hi.
There you go.
Okay. It's excellent. Very good.
There you go. So there you have it. We did this meal with Dehydrated Foods. It cost us $4.22. Okay, so keep in mind that sometimes your dehydrated foods will darken. That's perfectly fine. So long as you keep your food away from light, heat, moisture, and oxygen, your dehydrated foods will virtually last forever. so not to worry about it. Sometimes the scent will be a little stronger, the aroma, because it's concentrated. When you remove all the water from the food, it becomes concentrated. So the taste is stronger and sometimes the smell is stronger. Don't worry about it. Once you rehydrate it, it's perfectly fine. Enjoy.